Ahoy, mateys! Argolfump here with a pirate speedrun. I promised that my next speedrun would be a pirate video game, so I picked this one, the Pagemaster. I mean the Pagemaster. So first thing we're gonna do is grab the pirate book and go to Pirate Adventureland. Well, to be honest, that's the second thing we're gonna do. The first thing I did was press the go button several times in a row to skip the opening cutscenes. The go button lets you skip about 5 cutscenes in this game, so it's kind of useful. So here's the evil pirate head of doom, and I save time by not talking to it, and I just go straight to the maze instead. Now, if you do talk to the pirate head, it says, "Oh, hey, matey, you need to get the gold doubloon in order to pass here." So it's a time saver to obviously skip that conversation and just go straight to the maze and go straight to the golden doubloon. Now, this is a dialogue tree puzzle. The dialogue tree puzzles in this game are a little strange, just based on how the dialogue works. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, we have 4 dialogue options for every conversation. Yes, no, what, and go. To get through this conversation, you just say yes twice. Yes, yes, I am a pirate. Yes, I am adventurous. Yes, I do want to find the magic treasure. If you select what, the character will usually repeat themselves, and if you select go, our character Richard will try to go away from the conversation as quickly as possible. Sometimes that's what happens when you select go. Sometimes if you select go, it's the same thing as selecting no. Okay, so what I did there was I basically skipped the pyramids in Egypt. You're supposed to go to the pyramids and talk to a mummy for a clue as to getting through the desert maze and reaching the oasis. But I already know the way through the maze, so I just went straight to the oasis myself. I got the monkey, and you'll notice I gave the banana to the monkey twice. That's because the game is kind of weird about the timing. It's just kind of weird, so just to be on the safe side, I give the banana to the monkey twice. And that's basically the only puzzle here in the adventure game segment, believe it or not. Give the banana to the monkey. Pretty simple puzzle, I would say. And now we're going after Moby Dick. So, the animation here, you'll notice some of the animation in this game is very choppy. It's pretty good for its time, 1994. But some of the animation is like this, where it's a scene taken directly from the movie, whereas other animations are based off animation in the movie. So we'll be seeing more of that with this Moby Dick puzzle. Here at the start of the puzzle, what you want to do is just go right. And then you go right again, and we have a conversation with Captain Ahab. So this is taken directly from the movie, and the faster way through the conversation is to say, no, just lie to him. And now I'm just going to say go to point in the direction of Moby Dick. Okay, so Ahab goes away momentarily, so Richard can talk to Moby Dick. Okay, and this is exactly what I was talking about. We're going to have some animation taken directly from the movie, followed by animation made for this game. You can see the difference between the animation quality levels, right? Right? You can see it. It's kind of easy to see. Okay, so here you want to select no 3 times in a row. Very simple dialogue tree puzzle. I guess it's because we're at the start of the game, they gave us easy dialogue tree puzzles. You know, later on things will get more complicated where you switch between yes, no, But here at the start of the game, the puzzles are yes, yes, and then no, no, no. So they just wanted to make it easy on players because you do need to start with Pirate Adventureland, believe it or not. It's like the movie. In the movie, they go to Adventureland first, so that's why in the game you start by going to Adventureland. Now, I'll talk more about the various pathways you can take. You don't have to start with Adventureland first, but it is recommended to follow the same order as the movie: adventure, horror, and then fantasy. So what happened there was I used the doubloon on the talking skullhead, which skipped his dialogue. And here I'm looking at the treasure map, which is skipping the dialogue with adventure. And that's another trick I do several times, which is interrupt one dialogue with another dialogue. Right, now here's the huge pirate section. All we have to do is select yes, and that will be it for this pirate section. But Richard gets shanghaied by Long John Silver.
Let me go! Let me go!
Welcome aboard, matey.
Long John Silver!
Aye, lad, the very same.
So I should explain. At the bottom of the screen, you see adventure, right? What you can do is you can click on him, and he'll take you back to the library. And that happens with all of the various characters. So what I'm going to do at the end of this adventure segment is I'm going to get the golden shears, and then I'm going to use adventure to warp back to the library instead of watching the ending cutscene. Which is kind of a shame, because the pirates all sing their pirate song. 15 men on a dead man's chest, yo-ho-ho, and a bottle of rum. It's kind of a nice song, all of them singing together, but unfortunately I have to skip it in the interest of being very speedy in my speedrun. Now I do have to wait for the shears to appear in my inventory before warping away, otherwise I'd have to redo the segment, and that's unfortunate. Okay, so now's a good time for me to explain what I was kind of mentioning earlier about doing this game out of order. You're supposed to do adventure, horror, and then fantasy. Right now I'm doing fantasy second. So what's up with this? Well, it's gonna save me about 6 seconds because I need to grab a head. And I'm going to grab the head right here.
This might help me get ahead.
Wah, wah, wah. There are 2 heads in this game. One is inside the maze in Adventureland, and the other we just got here in Fantasyland. So it takes about 30 seconds to get the head in Adventureland, because you kind of have to go out of your way through the maze and go on the pirate ship and look at the top of the pirate ship, then spin around the pirate ship and leave it. So that takes about a half minute, and it's faster if I just do fantasy here and get the head from fantasy. Now, doing fantasy second wastes 24 seconds because I have to go back to fantasy. I can't actually complete Fantasyland at this point in time. But still, like I said, it saves 6 seconds overall, so that's why we're doing fantasy second. Technically, you could do fantasy first if you wanted to, but I wanted to start with Pirate Adventureland because Pirate Adventureland is amazing. So that puzzle I just did there, not the maze puzzle, but the 3 little pigs puzzle, you need to click on the pigs' houses in the correct order, then go right, and then go back left, so you can go left. I don't understand why the game is programmed that way, but what you're supposed to do is go through a different route through the maze, and you're supposed to talk to a troll, and you talk to the troll and do a conversation with him. It's a very, very long conversation. He asks you 10 different questions, And so obviously it's a time saver to skip that, even if that Three Little Pigs puzzle is kind of weird.
Right.
See, what I did was, I think the problem is that I did the Three Little Pigs puzzle backwards, if that makes sense. That is, I entered the puzzle from the wrong direction, so that's why you have to leave the screen and return to the screen in order to reset it.
Any idea who did it?
So now we're talking to little Bo Peep, who just is creepy looking.
It's no use. It's too dangerous. No one's ever survived the Lightning Palace. Should I ask someone else?
No, don't ask anybody else.
I'll find your sheep, miss.
So lightning round this is going to be a kind of a difficult puzzle. Actually, this is probably the biggest time waster of the game. I should say it could cost you about 20. No, it could cost you 20 to 40 seconds.
I'll never get up there.
And the problem is that it's just a completely randomized puzzle, so there's no way to make it go faster at all.
Here and there? No, I mean beans.
And this is just a weird segment, just so weird. We have this weird random guy who gives us a bean.
Illusion is simply not seeing truth.
Yeah, and the Bo Peep thing is kind of weird too, because we aren't really gonna see Bo Peep again. I don't know. I always thought this was a weird segment of Fantasyland, but whatever. It's going to take us to Mount Olympus. So an interesting thing about this is that none of this is in the movie whatsoever. With Adventureland, a lot of that was in the movie. Like, we had Long John Silver. We had Moby Dick. We definitely had pirates. But here in Fantasyland, we did not have Greek mythology. I think we had a little bit of fairy tales, but not like Bo Peep with the head of a sheep. That was horrifying. And that's a scene we can't skip. I skipped the scene of Adventure being sick, but I could not skip the scene of Fantasy being sick. That's sort of storyline of this game. All the books are sick, and so there's a scene in each one of the worlds of the book being sick, and we could only skip adventures. We cannot skip fantasies or horrors. Okay, so to start this off, you need to click on the characters in the correct order. Right there was a decision. You could either click on the guy in the middle or the guy on the left. It's a time saver to click on the guy on the left. And you'll notice there were several seconds of the game not doing anything. That is because I am playing this game on a CD, which is the way you're supposed to play it. I don't think you can actually play it without the CDs. So, with playing this game on the CD, sometimes your CD, like, spins around because it wants to find the right file, and sometimes there's just a delay because the CD is moving slowly.
What game?
And that's especially true with this segment because there are 24 different options. There are like 8 questions each character can ask, and then there are two different responses to each question, and those can change as well. So here, let's see what this is like.
Look, I should know. Bacchus and Dionysus are the same guy, the god of wine.
He says something, Pan says something, then the two characters will respond.
Blasphemy! I served under Bacchus and Dionysus. They're Greece's greatest generals.
For what's Pan is quite correct.
So that was completely random. Sometimes the centaur will agree with Pan about Bacchus and Dionysus, and as we saw there, sometimes he disagrees. So, not only are the questions randomized, but the answers are randomized too. So it's a difficult randomized puzzle, is what I'm trying to say. It's not too difficult of a puzzle, but the problem is I couldn't actually hear the game. I had a 1 second delay on the game's audio because I was recording the audio at the same time as recording the game. So what I had to do was listen very, very carefully and figure out the answer to the question, because I had to figure out the answer about a second before they said it in order to click on the correct person as soon as possible.
I'm way hungry. I sure could use a banana from the laboratory.
Okay, and sometimes we get really stupid things like that. I'm sorry, he's talking about bananas. I don't know why. I don't know why. It doesn't matter which characters you select to ask the questions. That does not cut down on time at all, because like I said, all the questions are randomized. Some of the questions are about Greek mythology, and some of them are about random things, like bananas.
The Pagemasters are fools. If you're clever, you can get by them without the trophies.
And he's talking about the Gate Guardians. Oh, I wish you could trick the Gate Guardians and get past them without the correct items. That would be a huge time saver, but alas, that is not possible. And is that it? For he's a jolly good fellow, and all the characters leave. So now we go to Neptune and get his golden trident. Then we're going to get the golden fleece. We haven't figured out why we need the golden fleece yet, but that was the point of this entire quest, was to get the golden fleece and to get a lightning bolt.
It's gold. It's fleece.
And now we are 90% of the way done with fantasy. We can't actually finish fantasy right now. You need to finish horror before you can finish fantasy. But you can do a good amount of fantasy here on the first time around. Okay, I've got the lightning bolt. Now I'm going to skip straight to the library. Now, like I said, I run this game on CDs. So there are 2 CDs for this game, and you have to actually switch CDs in between segments. Now, adventure and fantasy are both on CD number 2, whereas horror is on CD number 1. So you actually have to switch CDs in order to jump between those various areas. That's why I saved the game and then reloaded, because it takes about a minute for my CD drive to read the CD and know what's going on with the CD, because I'm playing on a really, really old computer to play this old game. So, in order to cut out 2 minutes of just nothing where the CD is spinning in the CD drive, I just decided to do the save and load feature. Just skip over, you know, all that time with the CD loading. So, here's an interesting trick I'm going to do. You need to take a look at my mouse cursor. Not right now, but... okay, I go forward. Now take a look at my cursor. It's going to turn right. So you'll notice it turned right for the maze before the maze screen showed up on the screen. That's a trick I try to do everywhere throughout the run. Interact with the screen before it actually appears on screen. And let me be quiet for this. This is my favorite scare of the game. And if you look at my cursor right now, I'm going to interact with the bird before it appears on screen. Yep. So it's a pretty simple trick. Basically, you just need to know where you're going to click next, and just get your mouse there and click as soon as the mouse cursor changes.
You're in mortal danger.
Obviously, it's a time saver. It doesn't work on every single screen of the game, though. There are some screens where you actually have to watch the animation of Richard walking onto the screen before you can interact with the screen. So you can't do that trick everywhere, but I try to do it in as many places as possible in order to speed through this game.
lives in the mansion atop the hill.
And this is a part that never made sense to me. The culprit, Mr. Hyde, gives you directions to Jekyll's mansion, and then he gets mad that you know how to get to Jekyll's mansion. Like, Mr. Hyde, if you didn't want Richard going there, why did you give him directions? And now we have the scene of horror being sick. You'll notice I moved my mouse over to the left-hand side of the screen, and it does not turn into the arrow. You cannot do that arrow skip trick here. Sad to say. You actually have to watch the entire scene. Okay, so now we're going to pull the doorbell, and this is kind of a randomized puzzle. There are like 6 or so different things that you can get. CD is loading. CD is loading. Yeah, CD loaded. It took like, what, 3 seconds for the CD to load that silly donkey sound effect? So I think part of the reason why the horror segment is on its own CD is because it's just a really long segment. It takes you about 16 minutes to get through this, and it takes about, 10 minutes to get through the other segments. So it's definitely the longest segment of the game, probably the reason why it's on a separate CD. Okay, so, did that little, direction skip thing trick. Is there a name for that trick? I don't know. I just call it interacting with the screen before it actually appears.
Why do I know one of these leads to really...
And cutting off Richard's dialogue there. That's nice. Now, I'm not always able to cut off all the dialogue. The way the game works is that you usually can only cut off, like, the dialogue after it starts playing for a second or two. And we saw that with the Gatemaster. We'll see it here again with horror.
Did you hear that scream? It was awful.
I know. I hate.
So you'll notice I cut off his dialogue, but he still talked for like 2 seconds. So that's basically how the cutting off dialogue thing works a lot in the game. You don't usually cut off all of the dialogue. You just get a couple of seconds of dialogue that you have to put up with. Still, always fastest to cut off as much dialogue as possible, which I'll be doing here.
Uh-oh. Looks like this plant got too much. Care for a lifesaver?
And I wonder, is that the only puzzle in this segment using the lifesaver as... Well, it's technically not the only puzzle, but I think that's the only puzzle where I'm using inventory items on things. Everything else so far has been maze, and now we get Frankenstein, who was actually not in the Pagemaster movie. Frankenstein was on movie posters, actually, but not in the movie itself. So it's interesting that we get to see Frankenstein here. Perhaps this was like a scene which is deleted from the movie.
Otherwise, I'm going to be real cranky.
That was a weird situation there, where I was able to click on yes before he finished talking. I don't know why. This conversation with Frankenstein is, in fact, the longest conversation in the game.
I am reviled. No one loves
He's
me.
going to complain about how nobody loves him, which is a build-up to him wanting to find a wife, and we're going to make him a wife.
Or sociopath.
No, you don't understand. I have to find Hyde. He's kidnapped the Pagemaster.
So this is a long conversation, and you have to be very specific about your choices during this conversation.
All I got to do is drink this.
I mean, if you select yes or go here, Frankenstein turns into a giant monster and then he beats you
don't
up.
Drink it.
And why not?
It'll kill you.
So, it's better than being alone, hated. If I'm handsome,
There are, I
people
think,
will
3
like
or
me.
4 different unique animations. I mean, one of them is him growing bigger. Another animation is him throwing Richard into a test tube and then throwing Richard outside the house. We've got some unique animations for all the various death sequences here for this long conversation with Hyde. Not Hyde, with Frank.
For the rest of your life.
You think you can stop me?
I know I can.
How are you going to do that, kid? I'm 8'6", 900 pounds.
He makes a good point, and another potential death sequence here is grabbing the chain. What you're supposed to do is grab love potion number 9 and throw it at him. And we didn't actually read it in the clues, which indicate this is love potion number 9,
I'm in love.
but it is.
Who exactly am I in love with?
I haven't.
When you
put
first
the pieces
entered the
together
house, you can you can look at other stuff. Like you could go left to this chest of drawers, which has a bunch of drawers, and there are interesting things to look at in all the drawers. I skipped that. So
yet. I've never built.
I don't like this particular part because there's a huge delay in between all the various lines of dialogue here.
Well, will you make me a match?
And it's very repetitive because he asks if you'll make him a match.
I need more information.
Then he'll ask again.
You can make me a bride or find me a bride. So.
And then he asks again to make him a bride. And we say yes here because that's faster, although Richard will say the
But you've got to promise not to hurt
Richard will say
anyone.
the find a bride dialogue anyway. It doesn't matter which option you pick, he has the same response.
Well, what are you waiting for?
How on earth am I going to find a bride?
Yeah, see, like I said, he responds as if you had chosen find a bride, even if you say make a bride. And I'm just playing with the inventory now because as soon as this conversation is over, he gives us a key.
Here, you need this.
And it doesn't appear in your inventory right away. Actually, it takes a while. Like, Richard's had the key in his hand for several seconds now. It's... Ah, there we go. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to do the warp back to the library. Okay, going back to horror. Now I've got the key, I can go through the guardian at the gate at Horrorland. That was me just keeping the inventory alive there, in case you're wondering what I'm doing. After a few seconds, if you open your inventory and just wait a few seconds, the inventory goes away. So, you know, what you do is you click back on the inventory again. Just click on the inventory to reset the 2-second timer, and that will keep your inventory alive. Okay, there was me interrupting one conversation with another conversation, and now we're going to have a scene with Horror, who is still sick.
I can't believe I'm doing this. Sheesh! Stop sneaking up on me.
I'm sorry.
You're supposed to be in bed.
This is my next stop if you don't find Hyde. I just thought I'd save some time. Besides, I know all the best.
This is such
Okay,
a
then,
weird,
let's get
grim
to it.
puzzle. What you want to do is dig up a corpse so Frankenstein can have a girlfriend. So all of the corpses, I mean, all of the tombs you need to look at, they need to be female tombs. They need to have a female name, and they need to have some sort of body part on it. Like thumb or toe, those are the two on this screen. Susan Powder is just a death sequence. You click on that one, you get like a death sequence, I believe. So is snowboarding on the left-hand side there.
Gertrude Torstenson left behind a great body of work.
And we've got several more here. Leggett. So we've got the leg, we've got the foot, we've got the hand, we've got the arm.
She died with her taps on. Heady foot. She certainly was swift of.
Alright, now Georgina. We have the sound effect of her punching a cow. I don't understand this game.
Too many pockets.
I honestly do not. Now, probably the biggest time saver of the game is coming up here.
foot bone's connected to the leg bone.
I wish I could skip this scene here. That would be a time saver. Alas, I cannot. We have to wait several seconds here before we appear outside of the graveyard. Okay, and this is going to be a skip which I did not actually show off in my video walkthrough for the game. I did a video walkthrough for this game. You should probably watch that to get an idea of what the game is really like, because this is not really what the game is like. What you're supposed to do is explore the mazes and check out all the fun things and see all the crazy animations and read all the books and the book pages. Anyway, this is a skip which I did not show off in my original walkthrough, which is to follow the House of Usher, leads you directly to the Jekyll Mansion. And that's a time saver because you don't have to do the huge maze leading all the way back to the mansion. Unfortunately, we still have to do the maze inside the mansion to reach Frankenstein. All of these scenes are going to replay. Oh dear. Oh well, at least we don't have to do the puzzle with the one flower thing, the big plant puzzle again. Yeah, we just skip straight from here to the stairs to Frankenstein. So we just skip that plant. Notice how the animation of him going up the stairs is the exact same, whether he's going from the bottom stair to the middle or the middle stair to the top. I should note in the upper right-hand corner we have the points meter.
Right here.
The points meter just keeps increasing.
What a babe!
What a babe! So sometimes that's what happens when the game looks like it's doing nothing. It's actually loading my point total because it's giving me more points. And now I find the head.
Very funny. Where's the head?
I did it! I did it! I found the head! I hope you like her!
What a fox!
Bwah, bwah, bwah.
Alive.
You're right.
As I said earlier, there are two possible heads you can get in this game. One is in Adventureland, one is in Fantasyland. So either head will work for this puzzle. That's the main reason why I don't do horror first. It's because otherwise I'd get stuck on this puzzle. I wouldn't have a head to put on the dead body. So by solving this puzzle, we are going to get the letter E, which will help us solve the Sphinx riddle in Fantasyland.
Love at first fright.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. Yes, he gives us the letter E at the very end of this conversation. So we can't actually skip out of this conversation like we were able to skip out of the conversation with Zeus in Fantasyland or the pirate singing in Adventureland. It's because we get the letter E at the very, very end of Frank's conversation. Otherwise, we'd be able to skip that scene and save ourselves some time. Okay, so I'm going to save my game and reload because I need to go to Fantasyland with the letter E. That is the solution to the Sphinx's riddle. And if I'm really good with timing here, I'll be able to get it done before the Sphinx even says her riddle. That would be nice. I like how the game takes a moment to load my inventory. It's nice. What Richard is saying there is that the vase has turned into Zeus. So now we can use that vase to warp back to the Temple of the Gods, instead of having to go through the entire maze again. Just sort of like how the fall of the House of Usher let us go straight to the Jekyll Mansion without going through the maze again. It's a nice little skip. Okay, so what you're supposed to do was do this before doing the fantasy maze, because Richard makes a deal with the dragon. They make a deal that he will get the golden fleece back to the dragon. But I managed to skip that conversation by getting the golden fleece first.
Mr. Dragon, Here's your fleece back.
Alright, now I cut this fleece as soon as I possibly can, so that would be the instant the sheep appears on the screen. I imagine it's more of a ram than a sheep, but Little Bo Peep said it was a sheep. And now we wait for the dragon to appear on screen so we can hit it with a lightning bolt.
In fact, this is mega not good.
If you're looking for Excalibur.
This should be shot.
Yep. Bam. And now Richard's going to pick up Excalibur, and that's basically the end of the game here. This final segment is mostly just cutscenes. Too bad we can't skip them with the go button. Oh well. Okay, so now we're back at the Temple of Gods, and it turns out that Mr. Hyde has turned himself into Zeus. So Zeus was Mr. Hyde all along. Oh my goodness, what a shocker.
Pagemaster.
So, you think you're king now? I am the king.
So the puzzle here is really, really simple. You just need to click on the book that is on the ground.
Understand? I understand everything.
We don't actually see the book on the ground yet. It's going to be a while. Richard's just going to hang here looking scared for a moment.
Nice knowing you, kid.
Alright, way to go, Excalibur. Alright, there we go. So that's the book on the ground. You click on the book and it's end game, and I think that's probably as good as place as any in order to, you know, stop the speedrun. That is, stop the counting of the time on the speedrun.
To the book!
As soon as the final score appears in the upper right-hand corner, which will happen here momentarily, I just clicked on the book there in case you didn't notice. So as soon as that little timer appears, I'm getting tongue-tied at the end of the game. Anyway, as soon as the number appears, the high score appears in the upper right-hand corner, and speedrun. Because this scene that plays, the ending scene, it's strange. It will freeze for like half a minute, I believe, on the Pagemaster with Richard.
Fantasy, you're okay.
And you'll see this in a moment.
Baby, you're the
Everybody's not sick anymore. They're the greatest.
Saved us.
That you did, matey. You're a hero in my book.
He's a hero in any book.
The Pagemaster.
Yay!
You have done well, my boy. You saved us all. I trust you enjoyed the adventure.
Oh, yes, sir. It was fantastic. I want to do it all again.
And you shall. But first, what shall I do with this?
Book him.
Blah, blah,
Let's
blah.
find you a new adventure.
Cool.
Remember, look to the books.
So that's the end of the speedrun. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the pirate adventure, even if the pirate adventure was just the first 10 minutes of the game.